Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're tackling a high-stakes reality that literally every developer faces at some point: moving database records safely using MySQL Workbench. We're going to break down exactly how to back up, migrate, and share your data without losing a single row or, completely breaking your schema in the process. Let's dive right in. If you work in tech, you've probably gotten a frantic Slack message that looks exactly like this. Your developer desperately needs last week's failed transactions moved from production over to staging. It's got to be perfectly accurate, and you absolutely cannot break the staging environment. This is what we're calling our hero's workflow for today, and we're going to use MySQL Workbench to pull it off flawlessly. To make this happen, you really have to understand the architectural split right inside Workbench itself. You essentially have two completely different engines at your fingertips. On one side, you've got the Table Data Wizard. This is your go-to for micro-scale data exchange. Think quick and dirty CSV reports under maybe 100,000 rows. But for the heavy lifting, for enterprise-grade migrations where you need full schema preservation, we rely on the Administrative Management tab. That's because it actually uses the battle-tested MySQL dump utility under the hood. So for a full table migration, MySQL dump is absolutely our gold standard. Okay, phase one, the structural export. To show you how to do this safely, we're going to use the classic Sequila sample database as our local sandbox. We'll use it to package up exactly what our developer is asking for. So here is the exact tab-by-tab workflow you're going to follow in that administration pane. First up, you open the data export tool and select the Sequila schema. Second, just check the boxes next to the specific tables your developer needs. Let's say it's the payment and customer tables. Third, and honestly, this is super important for a structural migration, make sure your output format is set to SQL. We don't want a CSV right now. We want the actual SQL statements that will perfectly recreate this data over in staging. Now pay attention to these export options. These are the little checkboxes that developers frequently miss, and it leads to massive headaches down the line. Always choose export to self-contained file. It hands off one neat .SQL file instead of a really messy folder of stuff. Make sure to check include routines and events if your database relies on them. And finally, please verify your character set. It's usually UTF-8. A mismatch here will literally turn your data into a corrupted, unreadable mess, and nobody wants that. All right, so we've got our pristine, self-contained SQL file. Let's shift over to the staging database. We pop open the Data Import Wizard in Workbench, point it straight to our brand new file, and hit Start Import. Smooth sailing from here, right? Boom. The progress bar suddenly turns red. The import just crashed. Now, this is usually the exact moment panic sets in, but believe it or not, this is an incredibly common villain in the data migration story. You haven't corrupted the data at all, but MySQL has forcefully slammed the brakes on your import. So, why did the staging import just fail? Ah, there it is. Error 150, foreign key constraint fails. Remember, MySQL databases are strictly relational. If your SQL dump file tries to insert a row into a child table, like a payment record, before the parent customer profile even exists, MySQL completely rejects it. It's a built-in safety mechanism, like putting the cart before the horse, designed to prevent orphaned data. But yeah, it definitely stops our import dead in its tracks. Luckily, there is a super practical, confident way to fix this. Right from the MySQL reference manual, we can actually temporarily bypass this constraint check entirely. Here's the magic trick. First, you execute the command set foreign key checks equals 0 in your query tab. Second, you retry the import. Because those safety checks are disabled, the tables load smoothly regardless of what order they show up in the dump file. Third, and you absolutely cannot forget to do this, execute set foreign key checks equals 1 to turn those safety rails back on. Bam, problem solved. Let's pivot for a second. What if your developer comes back and says, actually, hold up, I don't need the whole table. I literally just need a quick list of the failed payments from the last 24 hours to throw into a spreadsheet. Running a massive MySQL dump for that? Complete overkill. This is exactly where we switch gears to the Table Data Wizard's CSV capabilities. Instead of a dump, you just write a targeted SQL query. You do a quick join between the payment and customer tables to isolate exactly what's needed. The resulting data is perfectly curated, just the transaction details merged with the relevant customer records. It's clean, specific, and totally manageable. To get this out of Workbench, we bypass that main administration tab entirely. Step 1, just execute your select query. Step 2, look right above the result grid for that little export icon. Step 3, select CSV as your output format. Step 4, save the file and do a quick visual check. That's it. You skipped the heavy MySQL dump engine completely and used Workbench's built-in column mapping to generate a flawless spreadsheet in seconds.
So let's bring all these concepts together and go back to that original urgent Slack message. We need to deliver those failed transactions quickly and safely. By combining everything we just talked about, we can build a seriously efficient real-world support workflow.
Here is exactly how it plays out in real time. Minute 1, you run your targeted query for the failed payments. Minute 2, because you're writing a custom query, you intentionally leave out any columns with sensitive, personally identifiable information, so you're sanitizing the data right at the source. Minute 3, you click that result grid export icon and save it as a CSV. Minute 4, you confidently hand the file off to the dev team. 4 minutes from full-blown panic to total resolution, all done entirely with MySQL Workbench. So look at you. You now have the exact skills to export, import, troubleshoot that pesky error 150, and extract perfectly targeted CSVs. You absolutely know how to move the data. But it does leave us with one really critical question. You've got the file out of the database safely, sure, but are you securing it in transit? Think about that for a second the next time you're about to drop an unencrypted CSV straight into Slack. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.